The Identity Ecosystem Steering Group's worth talking about just a bit. It had its initial meeting in Chicago. We were supposed to meet 2 weeks ago out by the Douglas Hilton until this little squall of wind and rain came blowing through. It was Sandy. So actually the meeting will be instead November 26th and 27th at the DC Convention Center. And there's details on the idecosystem.org website. It's free to participate, by the way, so we're always out recruiting more people to come to the table. But the vision of it was, the steering group was really focused on taking the vision of the NSTIC and the guiding principles, and then looking for a way to bring together different stakeholders from many different sectors around 4 operating principles, which are balance, openness and transparency, consensus and harmonization, to come together to govern and administer an identity ecosystem framework in a way that can actually stimulate this privately led ecosystem. So the group now has over 1,100 individuals participating from more than 450 companies, organizations, some federal agencies. A bunch of interested individuals have shown up as well. The biggest challenge we have right now, candidly, is herding all of the cats that are there, and it really is a cat herding exercise in that it is a remarkable array of different interests who have all come together, very interested in the ideas that NSTIC lays out and want to find a common path to get there to create it. But there are many different perspectives that are at the table that folks need to figure out a way to collaborate, across different stakeholder groups. And that hard work has already started with, I think, some pretty good results, and we're looking forward to, what the group will do more over the next couple of years. Just in terms of highlights of the meeting, I mentioned we had a lot of participants. The participants elected a plenary chair, Bob Blakely from Citi, and Brett McDowell from PayPal was elected as chair of the Management Council, which is like a board of directors. A lot of big firms showed up. I won't read all of them there. A lot of nonprofits showed up as well, more than 65 universities and participants from 12 different countries. We also stood up working groups and committees on topics like standards, policy, privacy, usability, security, and accreditation process for providers in the ecosystem. Some domain groups on healthcare and the financial sector. Those are 2 heavily regulated industries where they've got some particular topics that they want to work through in terms of how the ecosystem will impact them. And finally, an international coordination group, because a lot of stakeholders have come to us, both from other countries, and said, how can we participate? As well as some of those companies up there have said, we do business globally. Wouldn't it be neat if we could align what we're doing here with, efforts that we're doing abroad? And so some of those conversations have already started. And as I mentioned, the next meeting will be right after Thanksgiving here in DC at the Convention Center, and you can register at idecosystem.org. Finally, I just want to talk real quick about the pilots that we awarded. There were 5. They're all quite interesting in terms of what they're actually looking to do to try and stimulate the marketplace. AMVA, the American Association of Motor Vehicles, put together a consortia with Microsoft, CA, AT&T, and the state of Virginia, who I don't have listed, looking at ways to develop a public-private partnership that you could actually issue strong credentials using some elements from the state DMV, in this case in Virginia, and others from private credential providers. And it's all stitched together with an infrastructure that leverages privacy-enhancing encryption to make sure the data is not inappropriately shared between those organizations. But conversely, if you want it to be shared in order to help you have a stronger credential than you might have today as a citizen in Virginia, you can actually ask that it be done. Daon's an identity company that's based out in Reston, Virginia. They're focused on deploying smartphone-based multi-factor authentication to consumers in a variety of segments. Online shoppers, eBay and PayPal is a relying party. Senior citizens, there will be tens of thousands of seniors who will be getting the solution on their smartphone to log into the website at ARP. Purdue University, and a major bank who's, I can say there's a major bank, but the bank is not ready to have their name out in public yet on this, but they're all key relying parties. Criterion Systems is doing something that's really fascinating around the issue of attribute exchange, specifically looking to develop a viable business model for the identity ecosystem and attribute exchange. I haven't talked much about attributes other than talking about those specific data elements about yourself that actually need to be transmitted in a particular transaction. It's really key to data minimization. There's also some fascinating linkages that you can come up with that are consumer focused, where you could ask different verified attributes about yourself to be shared with other parties as a way of enabling new types of transactions. But nobody's ever really figured out how this works, particularly in the commercial space where, there's been questions as whether there's a business model. So Criterion has put together a team with eBay, PayPal, AOL, Verizon, General Electric, Experian, LexisNexis, and Broadridge Financial that will be testing this model over the next couple of years. And it should be quite exciting to see how well that works. Internet2, which is a consortium of major research universities. It will be deploying smartphone-based multi-factor authentication across the entire campuses of MIT, University of Texas, and Utah, and also doing work to integrate it with the privacy-protecting infrastructure. CMU, Carnegie Mellon, and Brown University are also partners on that. And Resilient Networks is actually doing, it's almost two mini pilots in one. They're testing some privacy-enhancing encryption infrastructure, again for attribute management and secure access, both in the healthcare as well as the K-12 environments. You've got the American Medical Association, American College of Cardiology, Knowledge Factor, which is a big online learning company, and a major media company who all of you know, but again, their name's not public out there yet and that they're not ready to disclose their participation, but they are all key partners. So I say what's your firms, but realizing this is a government, focus event, strike out firms, and put organizations, which is, to help, one, participate in the steering group and look to participate in the pilots, or to be embracing the FICAM roadmap to move new apps online. There is an increasing number of providers that are getting certified there, and the more that the government actually steps up to move things online, the more you'll see the ecosystem of private sector providers grow. So talk about the value of NSTIC and federation to leaders in your organization. Contemplate supporting the NSTIC pilots, whether you're in government or industry, by expressing interest in being a reliant party in some of the pilots. And finally, join the Identity Ecosystem Steering Group. We want people to be early adopters as well, looking for ways to leverage trusted identities to move more services online, and look for ways also to support identity and credentialing in partnership with trusted third parties rather than look to do everything on your own. And finally, since we are a national program office and thus trying to frankly talk to as many stakeholders as we can, don't be shy about reaching out and giving us your ideas. We actually do want to hear from folks and try to make time to respond to inquiries that we get.